Domestic NPCs. Before we get to the Area Guardians, the highest ranking NPC group made up of the Floor Guardians, and reveal the strongest NPC in Nazarick, there's a group of NPCs that make up the lowest ranked denizens of the tomb. Domestic NPCs are the unnamed category of the lowest ranking creations of the Supreme Beings. In Nazarick, they handle simple, repetitive tasks like cleaning, organizing, and serving the Guardians and the Supreme Beings. Although most of them are individually weak in battle, they are extremely important for Nazarick's smooth operation, and Rubedo definitely approves of their existence. Among them are the Homunculus Maids, also known as the Ordinary Maids. These 41 humanoid beings were created by the members of Ainz, mainly for the purpose of cleaning and managing the 9th and 10th floors. While they have no combat power, their work is crucial for maintaining the home of the Supreme Beings. In Nazarick, there are two main types of maids. One group is the combat type maids, the other group is the regular maids, who are homunculi. Each of them has a combined racial and job level of 1, and their primary duty is cleaning the Supreme Beings' rooms. These maids were divided into 3 main groups based on the Supreme Beings who created them, mainly Hero, Wide Brim, and Coup de Grace. When they ate together in the cafeteria, the maids would sit according to their creators. Due to a racial penalty that gave them abnormally large appetites, these maids will consume massive amounts of food, far more than a normal person could eat. The last group of maids preferred to eat quietly by themselves. Having separated from the other 3, strictly speaking, this 4th group wasn't really an official group on its own, and some of its members were created by other Supreme Beings like Yamaiko. Of course, all Homunculus Maids share a deep devotion to their creators. Serving the Supreme Beings is their purpose in life, so being told not to work naturally makes them feel worthless, as if Ainz is saying, "I don't want to play with you anymore." In Nazarick, cleaning the Supreme Beings' chambers takes hours because each room is enormous. Even with the number of maids available, keeping everything spotless every day is a tiring job. It would take one person half a day or more to clean just one room properly. While the maids had enough numbers to handle all the rooms daily, even counting Rubedo's spare room, it would still mean working all day without rest. Yet, not a single one of them ever complained. You have to keep in mind that for these NPCs, working themselves to the bone for the Supreme Beings was simply the most natural thing to do. That is, until Ainz intervened. As a former salaryman who lived in the dystopian overworked world of 2138, he knew exactly what it felt like to work with little to no rest. He couldn't stand watching the daughters of his friends go through the same thing, so he decided to put a stop to it. Ainz ordered them to clean less frequently and introduced a shift system. The maids were divided into 2 shifts, which works like this. 30 maids worked during the day, 10 worked at night, and 1 had the day off. That meant every maid would rest once every 41 days. To the surprise of nobody but Ainz, the maids didn't want any breaks. Faced with their tears, Ainz offered a new type of task, which is a personal service to him. Each maid would take turns attending to Ainz directly, while resting beforehand to be in perfect condition for the honor. Interestingly, the Homunculus Maids never stepped outside the 9th and 10th floors. Because of this, they know little about the new world, though some feel uneasy recalling the massive player invasion that once struck Nazarick. Basically, some of them felt that the outside world was inferior to Nazarick, but most of them were afraid of it. Although she isn't an NPC, Soiree became one of the regular maids after Ainz accepted her into Nazarick. By Ainz's order, Soiree is expected to lead the human staff in Irantel, essentially making her the head maid candidate. According to rumors among the regular maids, those human maids weren't actually serving Ainz directly. They were just hired workers tasked with cleaning and handling odd jobs. Other examples of domestic NPCs include the masked manservants. Like the Homunculus Maids, they perform cleaning and support work on the 9th and 10th floors. Serving directly under Eclair, these manservants don't fight and have instead shown domestic skills such as cooking. There are also the Librarian Overlords, created to maintain and protect Nazarick's great library, Ashurbanipal. In Volume 8's side story, the head librarian Titus lent us his 5 Overlords, Elias, Aurelius, Cochius, Fulvius, and Ulpius to Mare during his search for Cocytus in the Lizardman village. Since Mare specifically requested vassals above level 75, these undead were far stronger than their librarian duties required. Another example is the group of greater doppelgangers under Chakmor known as the Erich String Orchestra. Additionally, the golems created by Lucifer could also be considered part of the domestic NPCs. Most of them were made as jokes for the Supreme Beings as pranks rather than for battle or serious work. So ranking them alongside Nazarick's other low-level servants actually makes perfect sense. Service Class NPCs. The Service Class NPCs are an unnamed category ranked above the domestic NPCs but still under the command of the Floor Guardians. Their service covers a wide range of roles, not just cleaning or management, but in some cases even combat duties when needed. One notable member of this tier list is Eclair, the assistant butler of Nazarick, created by Ancora Mochi Mochi. Eclair's personality was designed as a joke, as he loudly declares his dream of conquering Nazarick and becoming its ruler. Since this trait is part of his original settings, the other NPCs simply ignore his ambitions. In truth, Eclair deeply respects the Supreme Beings and faithfully carries out his duties. When Sebas was away, Eclair was left in charge of maintaining the 10th floor. His combat strength is only level 1, but he takes great pride in his cleaning skills, boasting that even the toilets he scrubs are spotless enough to eat from. Another figure at this level is Klavu, also known as the sous chef. Created by Blue Planet, Klavu belongs to the Myconoid race, a species of humanoid mushroom people. As the restaurant's second in command, he usually works in Nazarick's canteen, but on certain days he manages a bar on the 9th floor. While the regular librarians are classified as domestic NPCs, the head librarian, Titus Aeneas Secundus, belongs to the service class category. Generally, this level includes leaders of the domestic workers, though not every department head falls here. For instance, Pistonia the head maid ranks higher. Chakmul, however, fits perfectly in this class. Known by the title Worst Personality, he serves Nazarick's musical instructor and commands the Arid String Orchestra. Another key figure in this level is the Chief Blacksmith, created by Amanoma Hitotsu. Designed as his apprentice, the Chief Blacksmith handles all blacksmithing duties in Nazarick and is renowned for his craftsmanship. Another fitting example is Pulcinella, the Clown of Nazarick. Created to spread joy, his entire existence revolves around bringing happiness, even when performing brutal tasks on their victims. Naturally, he's levels below the Guardians, but Pulcinella is eager to help them when he can. For example, Demiurgus once had him assist with skinning humans to create magic scrolls. Normally Demiurgus would have done this himself to savor the pleasure of the task, but he couldn't leave his post and thus regretted that he needed to give the mission to Pulcinella instead. Service class NPCs can also include those capable of battle, like the Evil Lords, a group of high-level demons serving under Demiurgus on the 7th floor. Acting as his highest level vassals, they spawned in Demiurgus' volcanic domain and guard the infernal shrine near the gate to the 8th floor. Created by Albert Eleinordel, there were meant to be 12 of them, but only 7 were completed. These 7 are Envy, Greed, Sloth, Wrath, Pride, Gluttony, and Lust. Each evil lord possesses immense power, generally between levels 80 and 90. For example, the evil lord of Sloth can summon endless waves of demons and undead, overwhelming enemies through sheer numbers. The evil lord of Wrath, meanwhile, is a physical fighter with high HP and defense. His skin is so tough that even the holy sword, Saphalesia wielded by Remedios, couldn't cut him. Wrath can also summon armies of demons and other lower-tier evil lords. However, Wrath finds it notoriously hard to control his hate management. Wrath gains power the more his hate builds, and his damage and defense scale with it. Despite being created as a warrior, Wrath also possesses strong magic. Even though he can use up to 10th tier spells, magic isn't his speciality. Basically, he's fundamentally a warrior with low magical stats and no special skills to enhance his spells. Later on, the role of Jaldabaoth, which Demiurgus once played himself, was handed over to a summoned evil Lord Wrath, allowing Demiurgus to focus on his other duties. 8th Floor Hierarchy. The 8th Floor Hierarchy is an unknown group of powerful beings that reside on Nazarick's 8th floor. Guarded by Victim and other mysterious denizens under its command, this floor serves as one of Nazarick's final lines of defense. In the past, this floor's denizens managed to stop the largest invasion in Yggdrasil's history, proving just how powerful they truly are. When the invasion took place, 1,500 players attempted to breach Nazarick. The players who later watched the recorded footage of what happened on the 8th floor could only scream that it was impossible. The destruction was so overwhelming that players began flooding the official servers with questions, asking if Nazarick's 8th floor was an illegal construction. In the web novel, it was even hinted that the Supreme Beings themselves might have stepped in to stop the invaders. But in the light novel, Sebas explains that they never reached the 9th floor, where the Supreme Beings resided. That meant the invaders were stopped at the 8th floor by Victim, Ooal, and the mysterious denizens of that realm. The 8th floor is so secretive that even most floor guardians know almost nothing about it. The one who knows most is Victim. In the web novel, the other floor guardians speculated that the 8th floor hierarchy might have been created as a failsafe, to destroy them in case they ever rebelled against Ainz. In Volume 1, when Rubedo offered to inspect the 4th and 8th floors, Ainz immediately warned her that an emergency could arise from the 8th floor, something even she might not be able to handle. Interestingly, Ainz changed his mind entirely, issuing a strict order forbidding Rubedo and all other guardians from entering that floor without permission. Because of this rule, no NPC knows what the 8th floor truly looks like. They can only guess if it's filled with traps that could strike even them, or if it's a death zone that kills anything that enters. According to Ainz, if a player ever appeared and refused to ally with Nazarick, he'd have no choice but to unleash the full power of the 8th floor to wipe them out completely. Basically, the 8th floor hierarchy is described as the strongest unknown force in the entire tomb. They were capable of wiping out between 1,000 and 1,200 of the 1,500 invading players from the union of 8 guilds. According to Maruyama, they represent Nazarick's maximum strength. Many of them had their MP almost entirely depleted after that player invasion, which shows how intense it was. Ainz once describes the 8th floor as the place containing Nazarick's greatest trump card. Something so powerful that most players would call it a cheat, and that it would rival a world champion. Its existence was one of the main reasons the surviving invaders never regrouped or tried to attack again. In the web novel, Maruyama stated that Ainz's chances of defeating the 8th floor hierarchy are only around 30%, even if he were to use all the best gear borrowed from his fellow guild members. For comparison, Ainz's chance of victory when facing Sebas and another floor guardian is about 50%, and that's only after he defeats one of them first. In other words, the beings of the 8th floor hierarchy are stronger than Ainz himself. However, they aren't completely invincible. Maruyama mentions that if the top 100 players in Yggdrasil teamed up during an assault, they could potentially defeat the 8th floor hierarchy. While not all members would be destroyed, such a victory would guarantee Nazarick's fall afterwards. Once the 8th floor is breached, there would be no stopping the collapse of the entire tomb. That's why Maruyama decided there was no point in making the Pleiades stronger than them or in placing any pop monsters on the 9th floor. The gate leading to the 8th floor lies near Demiurgus's infernal shrine. The known denizens of this mysterious floor include Victim, Ooal, Omega, and her monsters. Above all, there's one NPC in this hierarchy who deserves to be ranked among the highest tier of all, those belonging to level 7. Pleiades. The Pleiades are the combat maid squad of the Great Tomb of Nazarick. They were originally created as the tomb's final line of defense, but after Nazarick was transported to the New World, Ainz assigned them new duties. The squad is composed of 7 sisters, though they aren't real siblings, and are just programmed to act like one family. Each was created by a different supreme being, with Sebas serving as their commander. Back in the days of Yggdrasil, Sebas and the Pleiades were stationed as the last defense before the throne room. Their job was to stall enemy players long enough for the 41 supreme beings to prepare for the final battle. But realistically, anyone strong enough to reach that far would easily crush Sebas and the battle maids. The reason no invader ever got that deep is because the 8th floor hierarchy wiped them out first. Each of the Pleiades, aside from Sebas, wore a combat maid uniform that functioned more like high-grade plate armor, reinforced with rare magic from crystals that only level 90 players could obtain. Despite this, most of them were under level 65, making them weaker compared to Nazarick's top defenders. After arriving in the New World, Ainz ordered them to guard the 9th floor, while some were reassigned to special missions outside of Nazarick. Narbaral, Lupus Regina, and Solution were chosen to blend among humans since they could disguise themselves easily. Narbaral, acting as Narbe, accompanied Ainz under his moment identity to Irantel, disguised as adventurers to gather information. Sebas and Solution went undercover in the same city, posing as a butler and noblewoman from the Baharut Empire. Meanwhile, Lupus Regina was sent to Kane village to watch over and protect Neferia, Lizzie, Henry, and Nemu, the assets of Nazarick. Normally, the Pleiades can take 2 formations depending on their leader. Under Sebas, they're called the Pleiades 6 Stars. But under Ooal Omega, they become the Pleiades 7 Sisters. After Sebas' loyalty was tested during the case with Soiree, the chain of command shifted to Ooal. However, since she's not allowed to leave the 8th floor, Ainz appointed Yuri Alpha as deputy leader to manage the team's operations. Sebas, though part of their hierarchy, stands apart as Nazarick's head butler. He commands the manservants and butlers under him and is one of the tomb's 4 strongest fighters, on par with Cocytus, Albedo, and Rubedo. Although he's technically in the level of Pleiades, Sebas is actually compared to the Floor Guardians, meaning his level can soar further than level 4. Even without a weapon, Sebas' key enhanced hand-to-hand combat mastery lets him overwhelm top warriors in close combat. In his dragonoid form, he can overpower both Cocytus and Albedo. Ainz once said that in direct combat, Sebas can sweep away nearly anyone. Among the top warriors, Cocytus beats Albedo, Albedo beats Sebas, and Sebas beats Cocytus. Yuri Alpha, created by Yamaiko, serves as the Pleiades' deputy leader. She's a Dullahan with a good-hearted karma value, meaning she's one of the few Nazarick's NPCs who isn't hostile to humans. She's often seen as the big sister among the maids. Lupus Regina Beta, created by Beast King Mekongawa, is a lycanthrope and battle cleric skilled in both healing and combat. For the Homunculus Maids, Lupus Regina is the friendliest of the Pleiades, even calling her presence a sign of good fortune. Outwardly cheerful and friendly, she hides a cruel personality beneath her smile. Stationed in Kane Village, her real mission was to spy and maintain Nazarick's influence there, while preventing information leaks about the village's growing technology. Narbrul Gamma, a doppelganger created by Nishi Kienrai, is the second highest level Pleiades member and specializes in air elemental magic. Most people in the New World know her better as Nabe. According to Lupus Regina, Nabe is always seconds away from killing anyone who disrespects Ainz. Among the Pleiades sisters, the Supreme Beings designated Yuri as the eldest and Lupus Regina Beta as the second oldest. But things were less clear with the others. For example, Solution and Nabe were both treated as the third oldest. Maybe Solution and Narbrul really were like twins, since they described their relationship as close and caring as twins. Thus, they became a pair of siblings who disregarded seniority. CZ2128 Delta, also known as Shizu, is an automaton created by Garnet. She was designed with knowledge of Nazarick's security systems, particularly the Treasury, which she can access freely. For the Homunculus Maids, Shizu is the most popular, treated almost like an idol. Despite her quite robotic nature, she adores cute things so much that she sometimes refuses to let go of them. Solution Epsilon, created by Hero, is a predator slime capable of storing, protecting, or dissolving whatever she absorbs. She's nearly immune to slashing or piercing attacks and sees humans as nothing more than things on top of a plate. Entoma Vasilisa Zeta, created by Genjiro, is an arachnid spirit caster who fights using insects and talismans. Her combat style allows her to fight at any range, while supporting her allies through magic boosts. She despises Evil Eye for stealing her voice and dreams of killing her one day, a request Ainz personally granted. Finally, there's Ooal Omega, the youngest sister and leader of the Pleiades 7 Sisters. She also serves as the area guardian of the Cherry Blossom Sanctuary on the 8th floor, where she manages Nazarick's teleportation gates and guards the staff of Ainz Orgone. Ooal rarely leaves her post, but in Volume 13, her magic buffs greatly enhanced 5 greater doppelgangers disguised as Pleiades members, proving her vital support role. Since she could not leave the 8th floor without Ainz's permission, she must have buffed them before they left. Ooal was also the original owner of the world item that was later given to Shaltir. Interestingly, Narbrul, who basically sees all humans as bugs, considers Ooal the only human worthy of respect. Among the Pleiades, Ooal is the only human, but she's also immortal. Even though most of her sisters dislike humans, they still treasure her as a true sister. But this is just the surface. If you want to learn more about the Pleiades, check out this video for the full breakdown of every Pleiades battle maid in Overlord. Area Guardians. Area Guardians were the second type of Guardian in the Great Tomb of Nazarick. While Floor Guardians were in charge of an entire floor, Area Guardians managed smaller sections within those floors. Simply put, Floor Guardians oversaw Area Guardians, and each Area Guardian ruled over their own zone. Because there were many of them, most Area Guardians were not as important individually. That's why in Nazarick, when someone said Guardian, they usually meant the Floor Guardians. Most Area Guardians were weaker than Floor Guardians, but there were a few strong ones among them. Some battle-oriented Area Guardians were even stronger than weaker Floor Guardians. For example, Guren is considered more dangerous than Demiurgus. Additionally, Pandora's Actor and Ooal were level 100 NPCs whose strength could match the strong Floor Guardians. Just like Floor Guardians protect entire floors, Area Guardians defend the sections assigned to them. We see some of the Area Guardians when the workers invade Nazarick. For example, Kyohuko wiped out the group called Heavy Masher. One worker who landed near Neuronis Painkill ended up being thoroughly messed up by her. Kyohuko also punished Hilma by having her organs tickled from the inside. One interesting fact about the Area Guardians is that Rubedo once told the Yandere princess she might soon be promoted to a rank similar to theirs. Her behind-the-scenes work for Ainz was seen as preparation for this future role. As the Sorcerer Kingdom grew, Ainz thought about assigning Area Guardians to handle more duties, including managing warfare and overseeing larger regions. During the war with the Riestite Kingdom, the Floor Guardians became too busy, so Ainz planned to give more defensive duties to the Area Guardians. Some Area Guardians were assigned to protect Nazarick's most important places. Pandora's Actor guarded the treasury, which held all the world items, while Uriel Omega watched over the guild weapon, Staff of Ainz Ul-Gon, in the 8th floor's Cherry Blossom Sanctuary, which is one of the biggest reasons Ainz refused to mobilize her. In Yggdrasil, if a guild weapon is destroyed or stolen, it is equivalent to a disbandment of the guild. This is the reason why Ainz doesn't usually use his staff, despite the fact that it had been tailor-made to complement his abilities. As an Area Guardian, Pandora's Actor's power was said to be on par with Rubedo and Demiurgus. Aside from guarding the vault, he handled Nazarick's currency system, acting as the tomb's treasurer. He was personally created by Ainz himself, which made him Ainz's Black History. Pandora's Actor could transform into 45 different forms and copy their abilities, using only up to 80% of their original power. His main purpose was to preserve the forms of Ainz Ul-Gon's 41 members and keep their memory alive. Although he could not copy the Floor Guardian's forms, Maruyama revealed that Pandora's Actor could theoretically wield about 13,500 spells in total. Negredo was the older sister of Rubedo and Rubedo. She originally stayed locked in the frozen prison on the 5th floor as its Area Guardian, but was later released to help run the orphanage in Irantel. Negredo was a high-level magic caster who specialized in divination and information gathering. Ainz once asked her to locate Shaltir, during which she used a spell called Crystal Monitor to show her location. Basically, Negredo can monitor the entire of Nazarick's forces while also casting anti-surveillance magic. Kyohuko guarded the black capsule on the 2nd floor. Though not especially strong in open battle and weaker than the Pleiades battle maids, his ability to summon countless cockroaches made him terrifying. In the game, some players would log out just to avoid fighting him. According to Maruyama, Kyohuko could summon an endless swarm of insects, from small ones to giant cockroaches about 150 centimeters tall. He could summon between 10,000 and 100,000 of them at once. A level 100 commander-type NPC, Uriel could issue orders that strengthened her allies. She could also cast Gate, the highest level of teleportation magic capable of transporting large groups across great distances. If intruders used the gates, she could redirect them to isolation zones. Her servants, including Ukano Mitama, a level 85 monster with mental magic and 2 forms consisting of a fox-masked girl and a bestial combat form. On the other hand, Utoshi is a young man with a sun-shaped mask who guarded the sanctuary. Even with the Ring of Ainz Ul-Gon, teleporting directly to Uriel's location was impossible. Pistonia Shortcake Wanko, created by Ancora Mochi Mochi, was both an Area Guardian and Nazarick's head maid. She was a high priest who could use extremely strong healing magic and even resurrection spells. Neuronis Painkill, a member of the Brain Eater race, was the Area Guardian of the underground section of the Frozen Prison. Known as one of the 5 worst NPCs, holding the title of Worst Occupation, she served as a punishment specialist who extracted information through some better-to-be-left-unknown methods. Shihoto Tokitu, or the head chef, managed Nazarick's canteen. Created by Amanoma Hitotsu, Tokitu was one of the only 3 NPCs in Nazarick with the cook job class and served as the Area Guardian of the kitchen area. Additionally, Gashoku Kochuo guarded the large hole and was another member of the 5 worst, holding the title of Worst Appearance. While Kyohuka is the worst resident, the remaining 3 of the 5 worst include worst personality and worst hero. Guren was the area guardian of the River of Lava on the 7th floor. It's a massive abyssal slime and one of Nazarick's strongest fighters. Even though it was level 90, its combat specialization allowed it to rival weaker floor guardians. Normally Guren hid in lava, dragging intruders into the molten river where it had the advantage. Since it didn't need to breathe, it could stay submerged indefinitely, making it nearly unbeatable by normal means. Grant was an area guardian who protected zones across multiple floors, including the 3rd and 6th. He was believed to be around level 90 or higher, and his children were the ones who devoured Archie's corpse. Floor Guardians. The Floor Guardians are the highest ranking defenders of the Great Tomb of Nazarick. Each one manages an entire floor, commanding all area guardians, monsters, and NPCs under their domain. Think of them as dungeon bosses, each responsible for maintaining the defenses of their own territory. As the creations of the Supreme Beings, they're treated with the utmost respect by everyone in Nazarick. All of them except Victim are level 100 and extremely powerful. After Nazarick was transported to the New World, they began directly serving Ainz instead of guarding their floors full-time. These days, they take on various missions across the Sorcerer Kingdom. As Nazarick expanded over time, the Floor Guardians started handling more outside duties. They eventually agreed that at least 2 or 3 Guardians, usually Albedo, Cocytus, or Shaltir, should stay in Nazarick at all times. This wasn't an order from Ainz, but something they decided for themselves. Ainz had once thought about making Cocytus the main defender of Nazarick, with Shaltir as his assistant, but since each Guardian now oversees huge areas, he let them handle it in their own way. Among all the Floor Guardians, Shaltir and Gargantua are often seen as the strongest. But since Gargantua has no will of its own, Shaltir takes that title. Mare also ranks among the top contenders, with Sebas interestingly close behind. Within all of Nazarick, the only ones who might stand a real chance of defeating Mare were Shaltir and Albedo. Shaltir Bloodfallen guards the 1st to 3rd floors, a true vampire created by Pereronchino. She's one of Ainz's strongest and most loyal guardians, being one of the top candidates for Ainz's #1 wife, the other being Albedo. Shaltir's divine class weapon, the Spewit Lance, drains health from enemies with every strike, while her armor is legendary grade. She's built as a hybrid melee fighter and magic caster, specializing in both divine and necromantic magic. Shaltir was even designed to counter Ainz himself. In a duel, she's one of the worst opponents he could ever face. You need the exact team Albedo picks to have any hope of defeating Shaltir, or it would be extremely difficult. Not even Albedo or the other level 100 NPCs could face her alone. That said, if the other Guardians attacked in waves, victory would be guaranteed. The 4th floor belongs to Gargantua, a massive 30-meter tall siege golem. Unlike the other Guardians, Gargantua wasn't created by a Supreme Being, but was instead a system-generated reward from Yggdrasil. It has no personality and only follows Ainz's commands. It earned the title of Floor Guardian simply because the guild assigned it that role. Normally, Gargantua would have been used for large-scale sieges. But since Nazarick had storage issues, the guild decided to keep it submerged in the underground lake of the 4th floor. Cocytus, the guardian of the 5th floor, is known as the ruler of glaciers. Created by warrior Takumi Kazuki, he's Nazarick's ultimate weapon master. With 4 arms, he can wield up to 20 weapons, including the god-slaying Emperor Blade, a parting gift from his creator. Cocytus is a master of ice-based attacks like Frost Aura and Ice Pillar, which come from his Knight of Niflheim class and allow him to damage and slow enemies with freezing air. At full power, it could even freeze nearby onlookers. Among all weapon users in Nazarick, Cocytus is the most powerful. Victim guards the 8th floor and is an angelic being. Unlike other Guardians, he's not built for combat, but for sacrifice. Upon death, Victim activates a powerful debuff that immobilizes enemies. This ability once played a big role in stopping an invasion force of 1,500 players and NPCs that reached the 7th floor. Aura and Mare are the twin Dark Elf Guardians of the 6th floor, both created by Buku Buku Chigama. Aura, designed to dress like a boy, is a ranger and beast tamer who commands hundreds of monsters. Individually, she's one of the weaker Guardians, but when combined with her beasts, her total power skyrockets. She ranks 2nd from the bottom in terms of personal combat strength, and some area guardians are stronger than her. Known as the skillful tamer with high competitive spirit, Aura's strongest monsters reach around level 80. When she buffs them with her beast tamer skills, they can hit around level 90. Her younger twin, Mare Bellofiore, is a druid who manipulates nature and terrain. He can trigger earthquakes, summon lava, and reshape the battlefield at will. Shaltir once said that Mare's area of effect magic is the strongest in Nazarick, capable of wiping out entire armies. Mare can even use resurrection magic like Phoenix Flame, and 10th tier divine spells such as Nature's Shelter. On top of that, Mare can also use Petite Catastrophe, a spell so strong it surpasses even super tier magic. Demiurgus commands the 7th floor, and serves as Nazarick's main strategist and defense commander. Created by Ulbert Elaine Odal, he's the smartest being in Nazarick, second only to Albedo in authority. Basically, while every floor guardian runs their own floor, Demiurgus has a position above them, and everyone shares information with him. Demiurgus oversees national defense, intelligence, and military strategy, while also managing Nazarick's economic systems. His combat abilities rely on transformation and deception, particularly his signature power, Aspect of the Devil, which lets him reshape his body for battle. In terms of combat, Demiurgus himself admits to being a jack of all trades, which makes him unsure if he could work well with Aura. While his raw physical abilities are average compared to warrior-type guardians like Cocytus or Albedo, they still far surpass most opponents. Interestingly, Demiurgus believes he would be most effective when partnered with Cocytus. But according to him, even if he couldn't get along with any of the guardians, he would adapt to match their abilities if Ainz ordered him. Under the alias Jaldabaoth, Demiurgus led Operation Gehenna, manipulating events in the Riesti's kingdom to boost Momon's name as a hero and destabilize the nation. Additionally, he commanded an entire army of demi-humans in the Holy Kingdom War. Finally, Albedo is the overseer of the Floor Guardians and the highest-ranking NPC under Ainz. She manages all 7 guardians and oversees Nazarick's operations. Albedo stays in the throne room and handles every decision with Ainz's approval. In the light novel, everyone in Nazarick knew she didn't handle her duties from her own quarters, but instead from Ainz's. Outside work, she's surprisingly skilled at housework, claiming to be a professional level cleaner and housewife. In combat, Albedo is the ultimate tank. Her divine class armor, Hermes Trismegistus, offers triple-layered protection against physical and magical attacks, even resisting some super-tier spells. Additionally, she wields a world item called Genungagap, the most powerful item for destroying large structures. If you want to learn more about the Floor Guardians and see all their skills and trump cards, check out this video where we reveal everything we know about every Floor Guardian in Overlord. Generally, each Floor Guardian is protected by bodyguards around level 75, while most servants above level 80 serve directly under them. For example, Cocytus has his Frost Virgins. If Ainz were to assign guardians to the remaining floors, Sebas would likely take the 9th, and Albedo would claim the 10th. Despite their incredible strength, even the Floor Guardians aren't the absolute strongest in Nazarick. That title goes to Rubedo, the most powerful NPC in the entire tomb. Rubedo. Rubedo is the youngest sister of Negredo and Albedo, and she's known as the single most powerful NPC in Nazarick. Despite her mysterious nature, one thing is clear. Rubedo's strength surpasses every other being inside the tomb, even Ainz Gon himself. While her exact appearance hasn't been revealed, it's hinted that she's a mechanical being, possibly a golem or automaton, and likely shares a similar design to her sisters. According to Negredo, Rubedo isn't someone others can easily open up to. Even though she's loyal to Ainz, like the rest of the NPCs, she would probably refuse to take orders from anyone else, including Albedo. In fact, Rubedo can't even be deployed without Ainz's direct permission. Interestingly, Negredo openly despises Rubedo, calling her spinal, refusing to call her by her given name. She believes Rubedo was created differently from them and will one day bring disaster to Nazarick. Even Albedo, who finds Rubedo adorable, briefly wonders if Negredo could be right, especially after Shaltir's mind control incident. It made her realize that even the creations of the Supreme Beings aren't entirely immune to betrayal. In terms of sheer power, Rubedo stands unmatched. In close combat, she surpasses Cocytus, Sebas, and even Albedo. It's said that even a fully equipped Ainz wouldn't be able to defeat her, and Shaltir, considered Nazarick's strongest guardian, would appear weak next to her. Only the mysterious denizens of the 8th floor could possibly defeat Rubedo, and even then, they'd need to use world-class items to do it. No matter how strong she is, she probably wouldn't be able to fight one of them to a draw. When Albedo suggested forming a secret team to search for other supreme beings, she requested Ainz's permission to include Rubedo. At first, Ainz refused, saying Rubedo's development was still experimental and that he didn't plan to use her. But when Albedo said she wanted to create the strongest dream team, Ainz couldn't help but laugh, finding the idea childish but amusing. Eventually, he approved her request. While Albedo believes that Negredo could become her enemy once she learns about her true intentions, she's confident that Rubedo would remain loyal to her. However, Albedo knows that Rubedo's loyalty isn't because of her sisterly affection, but because Ainz himself ordered Rubedo to obey Albedo's commands. This makes Rubedo's allegiance more about following her master's will than any family bond between the sisters. According to Negredo, Rubedo was created by Tabulus Marigdina, using a unique process unlike any other NPCs. That could explain her terrifying power, as she is strong enough to overwhelm Ainz or even Touch Me, one of the 9 world champions of Yggdrasil. Because of this, Touch Me became one of the strongest warriors in the game. Even Ainz said his stats were extremely high. He could block a boss's attacks with no damage and still counter, even though he was an attacker and not a tank. In the web novel, Touch Me was powerful enough to solo Nazarick, but even in the light novel, where he's slightly nerfed, he's still top tier. Yet Rubedo can still beat him because her abilities counter his. Despite her power, Rubedo's position doesn't grant her authority above Albedo or other guardians. Albedo remains the overseer and second in command under Ainz. Rubedo might stand at level 7, but she can't freely command other NPCs. However, Ainz once mentioned that Nazarick's 8th floor houses the tomb's ultimate trump card, a being so powerful it could rival a world champion. Reading that description, it's hard not to think that he is referring to Rubedo. While her existence fascinates many, Maruyama has said that Rubedo might never appear in the series at all. When asked about her design, he joked that it would be impossible to show her and that she probably won't get any screen time, which only adds to her mystery as Nazarick's greatest unseen weapon. Which makes me wonder, who do you think Rubedo really is? Drop your pick in the comments. While you're at it, tell me what video you want to see next. And here's another video if you want more Overlord Simply Explained.